All right, so determine the scale factor. So what we've been doing up until this point is we had given you the original points of that pre-image. We told you the scale factor, and then you had to figure out what the new points, the new coordinates would be. We're working backwards this time. So to determine the scale factor, that is these first two blanks right here. To determine the scale factor of a dilation, you're going to use this formula. So what letter did we use to represent scale factor? Not X. K. So K, or our scale factor, is equal to, what do you think we're going to put in our numerator and denominator? These are more specific examples. So more specifically, it could be the new length of a side divided by the old length. New coordinates divided by the old coordinates. So more generically, what do you think I'm going to put in the numerator and denominator? Yeah. So new divided by old. Depending on the information that they give you, with what we're going to do today, you're going to be dealing with the coordinates. Some of what we're going to deal with tomorrow with our word problems, you might see or be given like the length of the side of a shape. So you might be using that a little bit differently, just depending on the information that you're given. If a question asks you to write the scale factor between the two shapes, but like it doesn't say like A and A prime, B and B prime, kind of along the lines of like a word problem again, and it might tell you how long one of the sides is of whatever shape you're dealing with, and how long it is like between the two shapes. For instance, like on a map and in real life, or a model and the actual size of something. If it gives it to you like that, instead of like A and A prime, B and B prime, then you need to pay attention to the order of the things that you are comparing, just like when you write a ratio. Again, we will deal with that a little bit more tomorrow when we actually have word problems, but just keep in mind, if it's worded a little bit differently, just pay attention to the order of how it tells you to find the scale factor. What is the scale factor between this and this? Go in that order when you write down your numbers. So we have 3 examples on this page. The first one is just in a table, so no picture. But to determine the scale factor, we're going to use that little formula that we have up top. So basically the new divided by the old. So remember, our pre-image is the original, so that's the old. The image is the new. Okay, so I'm just going to try and figure out the pattern here. Some of these, if it's a whole number that's your scale factor, it might be easier to just eyeball. You will have some fractions you might encounter, so then you might need to use the formula more. I'm going to pick a few of these points here, a few of the numbers within these coordinates. If this is all in the same shape, the scale factor will be the same regardless of which points you pick. But for instance, if I'm doing new over old, I might look at the coordinates for like A and A prime, right? So the x coordinate for A prime is -12. And the x coordinate for A, which is the old, is -4. So I'm dividing this out. -12 divided by -4 is going to be, hold on, I do not want to restart. Divided by, not multiplied by. 3, good. And it would work the same for the y coordinates. So if I had 9 over 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3. And I could pick any of the other points as well. I could go down here and use C and C prime. The zeros that are my x coordinates aren't going to help me, because anything you multiply by a 0 is just going to stay 0. But I could look at the y coordinates. I could take -24 and divide it by -8. and that would still give me 3. Okay, so it really doesn't matter. You don't have to do all of them. You really just have to look at like one set of them. But what is my scale factor going to be for each of these? 3. So k is equal to 3. I didn't pick any of the coordinates with b and b prime, but it would work the same. It follows the same pattern. When you have a picture, it's the same idea. You just have to first figure out what the coordinates are, okay? Don't try and eyeball it and guess how much it's been enlarged or reduced. So we're going to look at our old and our new. So first of all, which is the old? Which is the original? The one, the big triangle or the small one? Which is the original? The big one is your original because it does not have the prime markings, okay? So that's my old. So I'm going to need the coordinates for T, U, and V. When you count these, you just need to be careful that you don't like miscount the lines. So T is 3 to the left and up 9. So the coordinates for T are -3, 9. U, my original U that does not have the prime marking, is 6 to the right, and it's on that x-axis, so my y coordinate is 0. I do not go up or down at all. And my original V, I'm going 9 to the left, and can we tell how far down I went? V, how far below the x-axis is that? 6, so -6, okay? Those are the coordinates for my original, so that's my old, okay? Then I'm going to look at the coordinates for my new. T prime, U prime, and V prime. These are smaller, so it'll take you a little less time to count. What's the coordinates for T prime? Here's T prime. -1 gets listed first because that's your x coordinate. So -1, 3. U prime. How far to the right is it? 2. So 2, 0. And V prime. List the -3 first because I'm going to the left. So -3, -2. Okay? You can pick any set of those coordinates. Like you can compare T and T prime, U and U prime, or V and V prime. Doesn't make a difference. Somebody tell me which one you want to compare. U. Okay. That's what we did last class too. So I'm just going to highlight these just so you can see them, what we're comparing. The zeros aren't going to help me here, right? Because anything times 0 is 0. So I can look at my x coordinates. So again, it's new divided by old. So my new x coordinate, right, in U prime is 2. My old x coordinate in U is 6. That's going to be what my scale factor is, but I can simplify it. What can 2/6 simplify to? 1/3. Okay? So that is your scale factor. It's a fraction. It makes sense that it's a fraction because our original was bigger. Our copy was smaller, right? So we should have a fraction. And then we're going to find our scale factor for example 3. So same concept, we just have 4 points instead of 3 here, so you might have to write a little bit smaller. But my original would be the letters without the prime markings. So I'd have A, B, C, and D. Coordinates for A. I go to the right 4 and I do not go up or down at all. So 4, 0. Then I've got B over here. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It is 12 to the right. And you had to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So 12, negative 4. C is over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the right. And you had to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So negative 12. And D, you go to the right 4 and down 4. So 4, negative 4. Okay? Now our new points. A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. A prime. What's A prime? There's not as much counting for that one. So you go 5 to the right, but you don't go up or down at all for that one. So 5, 0. B prime, you have to go over a ways. That will be 15 to the right when you count them. And it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15, negative 5. C prime also goes quite a few to the right. It will end up being 10 to the right. And you end up going down 15. When you count these on your own, just be careful. Maybe count them twice just to make sure you get the same answer both times. And then D prime is not so much counting. Who can tell me what D prime is? Perfect. 5, negative 5. Okay. Again, you really only have to compare one set of points that match up. Which one do we want to use? Pick one. You want to do A? You guys like the ones with the zeros. Okay. So A and A prime. So again, new divided by old. Can't work with the zeros. So we're going to do 5 divided by 4. Yes. Okay, if you wrote it as a decimal, yes, it would be 1.25. You could see some decimals in this unit. There are some questions, I think, on your worksheet I have later this week and on your homework that might have decimals involved. More so, you might see fractions. So you want it as a simplified fraction, and this is as simple as it's going to get. It's improper, but it's okay. It's kind of like when we did slope. Sometimes we had improper fractions, and that was all right. So 5/4 could also be our scale factor. When you do the IXL practice, it's going to tell you to write it as a fraction, an improper fraction, or a whole number. So that would mean no decimals. And so like this is what you would be looking for here.